What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So I thought I would go ahead and continue with this expanded look at the top small forwards in the history of the game. Just my opinion. You don't have to agree with my rankings. Number 10, I already revealed that. Decided to expand this to top 15. Number 15, I had Carmelo Anthony. Number 14, I had pitching Paul Arizin. And number 13, I have Alex English, who used to be originally in my top 10. He was number 10 years ago. He's dropped down a little bit, but he's still, in my opinion, one of the top 15 greatest small forwards to ever play in the NBA. Alex English is best remembered for his years with the Denver Nuggets, with Alex English leading the way. Of course, along the way, he had some other teammates along the way, of course. Kiki Vandeweghe comes to mind. The Jason Kidd of the 1980s, Fat Lever, also comes to mind. Toward the end, trying to think whether that was Denver or Washington. But I think toward the end of Alex English's tenure with the Nuggets, they had Michael Adams. But I also remember him playing with the Bullets as well in the early 90s. But anyway, the Nuggets went to the playoffs. T.R. Dunn, great defensive player with the Nuggets also, I recall playing with them. But anyway, they went to the playoffs 9 consecutive seasons under Alex English's leadership. And Alex English is the all-time leading scorer for the 1980s, which goes to show his durability playing virtually every contest for the Denver Nuggets. This is back when that was very important when it came to legacy, being available for your team. But anyway, when you look at his resume, Alex English, who was 6'8" and about 190 pounds, he was an 8-time NBA All-Star, 3-time All-NBA second team, NBA scoring champion in 1982-83 season. His number 2 is retired by the Denver Nuggets. And for his career, he averaged 21.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, and 3.6 assists per contest. Though I must say that his career scoring average, is a little bit misleading because it took him a while to find a team that he gelled on. His first year in the NBA, he played with Milwaukee Bucks and only averaged 5.2 points. His second year, only 9.6 points. He didn't average 20 points per game until 1979, 1980 with the Denver Nuggets, his first year there. But anyway, that year he averaged almost 17 points a game total. He was traded from the Pacers to the Nuggets. But if you go from 1979 through 1989, he averaged 25.9 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, 4.4 assists, 1 steal, 51% shooting from the floor, and 84% from the foul line. Even though he only averaged 5.9 rebounds per game, which isn't a tremendous amount of rebounds, he was an exceptional offensive rebounder, though. He averaged about 2.6 offensive rebounds per game. So he got a lot of his points off of putbacks if you watched him play the game of basketball. But he was a mid-range master, and I know the brother LB is familiar with him because he did play college at South Carolina, and he was drafted. He was the number 6 overall pick in the second round for the Milwaukee Bucks back in 1976. Now, Alex English, like I said before, he sort of drifted around, not really fitting on various teams at first, but then when he went to the Denver Nuggets, they he jailed there, and he was traded to the Denver Nuggets for George McGinnis, by the way, the former Pacers star from the ABA, but he was at that time not quite the same player. That trade worked out tremendously for the Nuggets because English became a star while George McGinnis was fading. English and the Nuggets were known for being a high octane scoring team. As a matter of fact, they have the NBA record. I think it was the 82-83 team. One of those teams has the record for highest scoring average for a season. They averaged 126.5 points per game. I do recall it was December of '83. That team played the Detroit Pistons in I think it was a triple overtime game, and it's the highest scoring game in the history of the NBA. I think the Nuggets came away with a 186-184 victory in that contest. And in that game, I think Kiki Vandeweghe scored 51 points, and I think English had 47 or something like that. But anyway, during 1982-83, Alex English won the scoring title, averaging 28.4 points per game, and his teammate Kiki Vandeweghe was second in scoring with 26.7 points per game. And generally in the 1980s, Alex English usually was somewhere in the top 5 to 7 in scoring in his prime. I think the best that they did as far as team success was probably 84-85. In the 1985 playoffs, Alex English averaged 30.2 points per game as the Nuggets defeated the San Antonio Spurs and Utah Jazz in the second round to meet the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, where they would fall to the eventual NBA champion Lakers in 5 games. In that series, English suffered a right thumb injury in Game 4, which required surgery and rendered him unable to play for the rest of the season. That was the best that they did as a team in the 1980s. But Alex English, like I said before, he was a unstoppable scoring machine, and he had his best season during the 85-86 season, where he averaged 29.8 points per game, third in scoring behind Dominique Wilkins, who averaged 30.3 points per game that year, and Adrian Dantley, I think he averaged like 29.9 or 30 points per game. In the 86 All-Star game, English set his All-Star career high by scoring 16 points on 8 of 12 shooting in just 16 minutes off the bench for the West squad. During the 1986 NBA playoffs, English led the Nuggets past the Trailblazers in the first round. In the semifinals, English averaged 29.2 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists in a 6-game series loss to the eventual Western Conference champion, Houston Rockets. In the final game of that series, English tied his own Nuggets single-game record of 42 points in a double overtime loss. By 1989-1990, English's skills were beginning to diminish, and I believe he was traded. No. He was not traded. The Nuggets did not sign him. Re-signed him after his contract expired. He played 1 year with the Dallas Mavericks. Back in those days, if you were playing with the Dallas Mavericks, pretty much your career was getting ready to go to the crapper. And then after that 1 year, I think he played overseas, and that was it for the great Alex English. All right. But like I said before, man, this guy was a tremendous scorer. I want to look at some of his numbers again. He was a 50.7% career field goal shooter, and he did his legitimately. He wasn't a guy that was just massaging his field goal percentage with layups and layups and layups and dunks. He was a great mid-range shooter, 83.2% free throw shooter. I'm convinced if he was playing today, he would be a really good three-point shooter. But that was just not emphasized during the time that he played. I mean, he barely took threes. I mean, maybe literally he may have taken 8 or 9 threes a year. It just was not part of his offense, and it was not necessary at the time. But I'm pretty sure if he played today, he would be a great three-point shooter. In the playoffs, look at some of his numbers. He averaged 24.6 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 4.3 assists. He shot 50.3% from the field in the playoffs and 86% from the foul line. So this is a guy that often raised his level of play in the playoffs. Even in 1978 with the Milwaukee Bucks, he averaged 21 points per game in the playoffs. 1985, as I said before, he averaged 28.4 points per game during that playoff run. One of the great scorers of his era, Alex English, man. This guy is really phenomenal. Tell me what you guys think.